Please introduce yourself for us.
I'm Stevie Crimin. I work for Siemens and I cover the chemical vertical in the UK for Siemens. So that encompasses pretty much everything we do in Siemens Digital Industries and the chemical industry in the UK. So it's quite a wide remit.
And what kind of challenges do you see in the UK chemical industry at the moment?
Without a doubt, the biggest challenge recently has been energy, and that inevitably leads to sustainability. Since events in Europe, the energy prices have shot up. They have come down a bit, but it has highlighted just how vulnerable the chemical industry is to energy price rises. So that has been a huge issue. And as I say, naturally that leads to sustainability, because if you improve your sustainability, reduce your carbon footprint, become more aware of the environment, then almost inevitably you wind up reducing the amount of energy you consume.
So it sounds like that's been a challenge of the past years. Is that a challenge going forward as well over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think with sustainability we're just at the start of a journey. The standards are firming up, but there is going to be an evolution there. And it will evolve to the point that there'll be all sorts of considerations we're not thinking of at the moment. For example, if you're going to produce a new chemical, a new product, what is the impact of that on society and the environment against the profits or benefits that it brings? And I think that's going to be a calculation that's going to have to be made in the future, if not already.
And in the UK, the chemical industry seems quite mature. Do you still think there's space in that market for new technology and new chemicals? Oh
yeah, there's a lot of potential in the chemical market at the moment when you start considering sustainable aviation fuel, and if you include hydrogen and blue hydrogen, batteries, lithium refining, there are a lot of opportunities starting to feed through. Perhaps they're not quite evolving as fast as we'd like them to, but there are opportunities and they're emerging. You are right, it is a mature marketplace, but these represent a whole new range of potential opportunities. Well, where do you fit in the great scheme of things?
So I work for PowTechnology. We're a IoT solutions provider, and we work typically in heavy industry, so industrial Internet of Things. And our job is to really take data from where people need it and get it to where they want it. So we are there to bring data typically out of classic control architectures or remote sites, remote applications where there might not be that kind of control infrastructure, and get data to people that need it. A great application we do a lot is remote tank level, for example.
That's very of its time. You must be running across a lot of different opportunities.
Yes, so the IIoT is only growing really as a more accepted technology space. The technology's been around to do these kind of things for nearly 10 plus years, and people are just starting to see more and more the advantages of doing these things.
So PowTechnology over the years have been very, very active. What are some of the benefits they've brought to the customers in particular you were thinking of?
I think the key thing here is getting data flowing quickly. So customers are often, the reason they come and talk to you is they have a problem and they want to solve it, and they just need to get started. And that's our skill set, is getting people moving promptly and quickly, but also with a solution that's scalable outside of a pilot. One of the most common things we see, and there's a Gartner report on it from 2022, where 70% of IoT projects are still stuck in the pilot phase.
Yeah.
We've got to get people out of pilot purgatory and into doing real projects. And they aren't complex. They are straightforward engineering tasks. They're just a little bit different thinking compared to the conventional infrastructure projects that we've done in the past.
So Will, how could the IIoT, the Industrial Internet of Things, how could that solve some of these problems and enhance company sustainability? What are you finding?
I think the core part of it really is the technology exists, we've just got to get the reasons why right. And a lot of these reasons are getting data into spaces and to people that need it, that are external to the classic like control and operations infrastructure. So that might be energy data to the energy manager, or that might be carbon emissions to sustainability officer, and really extracting that data that's sort of, I want to say, locked away within the ecosystem, or maybe isn't measured yet, and bringing it out of that classic automation infrastructure to places where people can use it to make those decisions and kind of inform what's going on.
Do you help them with that data when it gets to the cloud? Do you recommend how they would do the analysis and what they should do with it?
Yeah, so we can certainly get, our expertise is really getting data from those spaces to those people that need it. There are highly advanced automation reporting systems that sit on top of those things that where people use them for energy data, and we can really feed into those spaces when people are trying to get that wide view, maybe even like a fleet-wide view over tens of sites, could even be international as far as a customer could be concerned.
It must be quite easy to demonstrate a payback for some of your projects and things that you do to the customer.
Yes, I mean, we talked about sustainability. Logistics cost in the chemical space is an absolutely key one, where we've got customers delivering chemicals, bulk chemicals, all over the country, and we're seeing logistics costs go up as fuel price increases. I'm sure everybody's been bitten by that pain, and we've got some amazing case references where we're demonstrating 30% fewer miles for the same value of product delivered to customers just by implementing remote monitoring on customer sites and improving logistics.
Sorry, 30% saving on
fewer miles. So that's delivering the same amount of product with 30% fewer miles.
That's a big saving.
Yes, and you can really see that in some of the more advanced customers, some of the early adopters of this technology. And when I say early adopters, I mean customers from maybe 10 years ago. This technology's been around for a while. It's mature in the market.
Yeah, it's possibly the geopolitical situation that's brought it to the fore, sustainability, what's happened in Europe, and suddenly these savings are potentially huge.
And I think we're seeing the costs start to come into lower and lower margin industries where the products have less margin. When you've got a really high margin product, you maybe want to really deliver that economically, but we're seeing it in much more lower value bulk chemicals now as well, where historically the volume was there, so it didn't matter about the margin so much, but now those margins are just being eroded by all of these challenges.
So efficiency is all at the moment. They're looking for every opportunity they can.
Absolutely, and getting data into smarter logistics infrastructure.
Okay, excellent.
The other thing we're seeing is a big skills gap in industry as well. So we're seeing engineering resource decline at lots of the end user sites, and I'm sure you're seeing that yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. That is where digitization and advanced technologies can help. Then you can go into the realms of a digital twin and all the economies that brings in terms of engineering hours and reducing risk. So it does tie in with the labour issues, shortages that you're seeing, the skilled specialists that are just not there. Yeah. It's a bit of a nightmare.
I think that's where we're seeing those sort of experts become more centralised rather than plant specific. So we're seeing group control engineers or group people who've got that kind of high level strategic view, but they've not got that intrinsic site knowledge. It's kind of the view I've seen of the chemicals industry.
Are you seeing any of the data you're sending being used for machine learning? Is it being accommodated in those?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end of this data pipe that we're supplying data up, there's somebody trying to use it for analysis. So that might be complex data analysis, or that might be just simple rules-based algorithms. But we're seeing the use case come far to the front. I like to think of us as a AI enablement engine, to use a buzz phrase, which is we don't have the data we need to make those decisions. Like, we've got to get the data foundation right before we just make that jump straight into.
So you're making your customer AI ready if they're not using it.
Yes, exactly.
Already, they will be soon, and the data's going to be there for that AI to analyse.
Yeah, we don't have enough data. I've asked that question every year at Chem UK for the last 3 years. Have you got enough data? And no one's put their hand up. So I don't believe we have the data we need to make some of this decision process happen. And I think that's only what we need for AI.
How would your customers get going with the industrial Internet of Things?
I mean, in most of the applications that we've done, the customers are really measuring a small number of parameters in a single process. It's not complex, it's straightforward, but they just want to capture that data quickly. And they might need some sensors to measure that effectively, implement that data capture methodology, and get that data somewhere where they can look at it and view it quickly. And that's where we've seen real success, is people moving on those things really quickly.
Oh, brilliant. So you guys are bringing in a lot of information, a lot of data I'm sure sometimes the odd surprise gets thrown in when you're taking so much on board and up to the cloud.
Yes, great example is we were looking at engine condition monitoring with temperature readings, and we discovered that the machines were being left on idling overnight. So the payback there was 48 hours in terms of the fuel consumption, because the engine was just being left to run and idle and not switched off. And we could see that from the temperature reading on the exhaust.
Unbelievable. It's very wasteful, but addressed right away with giving you a very quick payback.
And a large fuel cost associated with keeping that device running.
And no one was really aware that was going on.
No.
What's the best way of identifying problems on site?
Often customers come along with a specific need that they've identified, but a really great example is where they bring in someone external and they just ask some nice open questions. Great example that I have is when we went to look at an energy monitoring solution for a customer, and we were talking to the maintenance manager, and actually we identified a vibration monitoring problem on the process that was destroying a load of material and batches of product and having to be reworked. And that was really the problem that was bothering the maintenance manager, not the energy monitoring. And guess what? We can come up with a quick vibration monitoring solution that's really going to help him fast. So often it's helping have that external perspective that's going to help you identify different problems. And we can kind of provide that external perspective.
It's also coming to the project with a fresh pair of eyes.
Yes, exactly. And looking at something from the outside and seeing if there are other problems. That's really the key of being a solution architect in this space, is looking at how you can solve multiple problems with the same technology.
Okay.
Stevie, how does the Siemens partner ecosystem help your customers deliver industry solutions?
So the Siemens partner system is extensive and through the UK, Europe and the world, and effectively it offers highly experienced, highly trained partners who can help the customer with all aspects of what Siemens make and supply.
And do you see the need for specialists in that space in deploying solutions?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there are many niches, especially in this day and age when things are only getting more complicated, where specialists and niche companies like yourselves become very, very useful and often essential to what's going on. How does the extent of Siemens equipment and everything we do, how do you find that helps you in your tasks and your interactions with your customers?
I think it's broad and very deep. So it's a great portfolio because it spans everything you need from a breadth of technology, right the way from field instrumentation all through the technology layers in between to cloud platforms on the top, and network infrastructure and all those bits. You can almost certainly find it within the Siemens technology portfolio. But the other part of that is that there's the knowledge of each of those pillars. So when you need to go deep on a specific subject, you've got that subject matter expertise available to be able to call on. And I think that's the key with an organisation like Siemens is having that technology breadth, but also that depth.
Yeah.
And all it then requires really is somebody to knit it together and do the plumbing and the relevant pipe work in between and make the data flow. So Chem UK is coming up soon. What are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, it's always quite a dynamic event. I'll be looking forward to seeing the usual faces, but also potentially lots of new customers as well. It's also a good place to catch up on what the industry's thinking and see what way things are going.
Awesome.
Well, what are you looking forward to at Chem UK 25?
I'm looking forward to seeing what customers are doing and innovating. It's great to hear about maybe a new chemical stream or a new product that's being there, and seeing how the industry is really kind of adapting to the conditions that it's experiencing now. Are we seeing customers of a specific type or a solution come in that we've never seen before? I think it's really exciting, and probably the only place in the UK that has that kind of visibility in an industry exhibition for the chemicals industry.
Yeah. So why are people coming to see you at Chem UK 25?
I think there's a few key reasons. Firstly, we make it easy for people. So we try and translate all of this digital talk into real things with real examples that we've done. So that's the second part, is we've done this for 10 plus years and we've got loads of great case references. There might not be specific to the chemical industry, but there are tons that are, and we can use industry knowledge from across sectors to bring together solutions for people. And we are also a Siemens IIoT Solution Partner. So we bring together not just remote expertise, but expertise around the control and OT architecture as well, that we can bring data from those spaces to people that need it.
Is there a particular example of a reference case or something you've done for a customer?
Yeah, so a great example would be, we're looking at a client at the minute with a dust extraction system. So that sits adjacent to the production architecture, but it is a critical system because if the dust extraction system isn't running, the plant's not running. So they have minimal control infrastructure on this space, and they are looking for an overview system to help them with maintenance. Guess what? They want to do that more quickly and economically than implementing a full site-wide PLC infrastructure. So they just want to look at data, they don't want to look at control.
Yeah.
So in that application, we can look at uniting sensor data from the field with overarching infrastructure that we can present an option for Wi-Fi or 5G. We look at edge processing or edge gateways, to use an industrial buzz phrase, but some local processing, and then a cloud platform to visualize that data and alarm for the customer and notify them, and kind of provide them a platform to build off for the future. So this project is sort of there to hang lots of different cases on in the future.
And what has that meant for them in day-to-day operations?
Well, the key thing there is they don't know when the system isn't running. So they have to trace manually back through the system to work out where the component fault is. It's quite a complex system. And the idea with a platform is that we can bake rules-based conditions into alarms so that they can sort of embed that knowledge and direct and target the maintenance more effectively. And if that system's not running, the plant's not running. So if they get a day of downtime on their main production line, it's really costly for them.
So they can pinpoint the problem much quicker.
Yes, exactly. And also hopefully identify it before they get a full shutdown.
How are they identifying it before they get a shutdown? Is there...
At the minute, they're not.
Right.
Everything shuts down, and then they do a manual intervention, and they look to see what the problem is through the system.
Right, okay. Well, when are you presenting at Chem UK 25?
I'm presenting on the Thursday at 10 to 2, and I'm presenting on 10 minutes to digital manufacturing, how to get moving.
And is your presentation 10 minutes long?
I think it's 15 minutes. I've left a bit of space for questions.
Right, okay, good, very good.
But in 10 minutes, I hope we're going to give some people some real use cases. We're going to give them some examples of how to do it. And the main thing to get over is the why. Often now the technology exists to do what you want. Mm-hmm. It's really identifying the why so that the businesses will support those decisions and that level of investment. Because actually to get started, it's not that much. But if you're going to do this properly and implement it, it can be a large infrastructure project.
The why, the how, and the payback.
Yes, exactly. And really justifying that so that the business case supports it. That's the challenge now of today's engineers, I think, is not the technology and understanding that. It's justifying that engineering decision to the business about why to do it.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'll be there for sure.